Hi Raja, how are you? Okay, everything is fine. Nani is very serious. Okay, he has impressed me. He is very hard working. Okay, today I have decided to discuss landmark judgment regarding Section 112 of the Indian Evidence Act. And as you know that this case has also been prescribed in your syllabus. Name of the case is that Gautam Kundu versus the state of West Bengal and another. Why? Why the word another is that if you will not write the word and another, it will denote that there was only one respondent. So my humble request is that in the competitive exam as well as your semester exam, write the complete name Gautam Kundu versus state of West Bengal and another. Another here denotes the two more respondents. Here respondent there are total three respondents. The first respondent is the state of West Bengal. Second respondent is the wife. And the third respondent is the baby. Girl, baby is the third respondent. I read the original judgment, but I could not find out the name of the respondent second and third. Honorable Supreme Court has used the only respondent 2, respondent 3. That's why here I am unable to say what was the name of the respondent 2 and respondent third. But whenever I say the word respondent 2, that means a wife of the Gautam Kundu. And whenever I use the word respondent 3, that is the baby, girl baby of the Gautam Kundu, and respondent number 3. Second, that is the third baby. As you know that if you see the important points, who had decided this case? Honorable Supreme Court had decided the case, and on what particular date? The date is the 14th May 1993, and this is the division bench. This judgment is the judgment of the division bench. If you see in the starting I had also mentioned the division bench. Division bench Gautam Kundu case was decided by division bench. Nandlal was decided by division bench of Honorable Supreme Court, and Dipan Vita Roy was also decided by division bench. And yesterday I discussed that the date of these three very popular and historical judgment on the topic of the section 112 of the Indian Evidence Act, that is the May 1993, January 2014, and October 2014. In this way, that was the point. Here, my point was that who had decided the Gautam Kundu case? The Gautam Kundu case has been decided by the Honorable Supreme Court Justice Mohan. Here, see the what I had committed the wrong in writing. Here, I have used the word Gautam Kundu versus the state of West Bengal. I did not mention the whole name. That is, I did not write and another. If you see your syllabus, in your syllabus and another words is missing, that's why here again same wrong I have also committed. I should have written name of this case like Gautam Kundu and Gautam Kundu versus state of West Bengal and another. That's why that was the wrong committed by me. Later on I will improve. You know that whenever I always commit the error and again try something to learn. And it is my humble request from all of you that whenever I commit any wrong, please suggest me, because as you know that I am incomplete without your support. Here there are three information. First information is the who was the appellant, Gautam Kundu, that is the husband, and who are the respondent. There are three respondent: state of West Bengal, wife, and his baby. Honorable Supreme Court decided on May 1993, and Honorable Justice Mohan Singh and Honorable Justice A. Ahmadi. What judgment was written by the Honorable Justice S. Mohan. One day I was saying about the how to crack the competitive exam for especially for my students of the faculty of law. At that day I told you that please always write your answer with the systematic arrangement of the case made, that is the with the help of chronology. As you know that chronology is a very popular word nowadays, so that's why it is my also humble request, please follow the chronology. So that's why in the chronology, first leading judgment is the judgment of the Gautam Kundu case. Come to the, I had made some summary. Why I had made the summary? So that you can understand in a better manner. Regarding the provisions, if you see the provisions I had quoted here is that provision is that there are four provisions are involved here. If you see the section 125 CRPC maintenance, CRPC, as you know that this is the secular provisions of the CRPC, and sometimes CRPC section 125 is also called the substantive part of the procedural law. As a rule, procedural law is the CRPC is the procedural law, but there are some parts mentioned in the CRPC that is called the substantive law. Among them, section 125 also comes under the category of substantive law. Why here is that section recourse of section 125 was taken by the wife, and she claimed maintenance from Gautam, and she got the maintenance. She got the maintenance not only for herself but also for her baby. After that decision of the lower court, lower court passed an order in favor of the wife and her baby, and she got maintenance. That was challenged and husband, that is the Gautam Kundu, started to claim that he said that no, I am not father of that baby, and character of the wife responded number two is the not good, she is immoral, she is unchaste. That's why he started to his purpose, he claimed for the blood group test. According to him, if there is no matching of the blood with me and so called my baby, in that case it will be easily proved that wife is the unchaste, her character is unchaste, she was living in the adultery, so I will not be entitled for giving the maintenance. I will not bound to give the maintenance. In this way, he took the recourse of he challenged the paternity of the baby, and then matter come under section 112 whether that baby is a child of the Gautam Kundu or not, and whether the blood test should be allowed or not. As you know that section 112 section 4 also involved. Section 4 talks about the conclusive proof, but unfortunately Supreme Court in this case did not discuss the section 4, and some another points I will discuss later on. And it was the argument taken by on behalf of the husband, that is in the British law, the Family Reforms Act 1969 clearly allows blood group test. That's why in India it should must also be allowed. These are the some basic provisions which need to be discussed in this class. The first is that 125, who take the recourse of 125, that is the wife, and 112 4 and Family Reforms Act, that was the argument of the husband. And in this case there was a maxim. What was the maxim involved? In this case there is a maxim which is a very famous maxim, pater est quam nuptio demonstrant. As you know that my pronunciation is not perfect, and you can take help of some other source, and sorry for that here, but as per my knowledge I try to find out correct pronunciations of this maxim, but unfortunately I could not found. And as per my knowledge, pronunciation of this is that pater est quam nuptio demonstrant. And in this case one judgment is a very popular, and it was accepted in this case. That case is the Bhartiraj versus Sumesh Sachdev and others. This case has been decided by the Honorable Allahabad High Court, and ratio of this case was cited in this case. And finally in this case Honorable Supreme Court and that is the Honorable Justice Yes Mohan clearly laid down some important points, some guidelines of when the blood group test should be allowed and when blood group test should not be allowed. And my point is that if you see the and last is the issue, as you know that issue is a very important point. In earlier writing, I was not writing the issue, but my students suggested that sir, you should always write issue in your casemate. It will be very helpful for me, for us. Then after their suggestion, I started to write the issue. So what is the issue? Issue in a very simple language you can use. Issue is that whether the blood group test should be allowed to prove or disprove paternity. If yes, in what circumstances? If I have written the sentence in a wrong manner, please WhatsApp me and suggest whether after writing the whether the question mark should be put or not. It is my confusion. That's why I know my friends are better than me. I always take support and help of all of you. That's why if you find any wrong, suggest in this sentence whether blood group test should be allowed to prove or disprove paternity. If yes, in what circumstances? This was the issue. So come to the facts of this case. I will discuss the now point becomes very clear. 125, 112, Section 4, Family Reforms Act, Peter Est Quam Feud Demonstrant, and Bharti Raj versus Sumesh Sachdev and others, and guidelines for the blood group test. All these points were discussed in this case, and the issue was that whether the blood group test should be allowed to prove or disprove paternity or not. So my point is that first of all here again I wanted to say in this case DNA word was not used, even a single place nowhere DNA word was used. Here only and only blood group test word has been used. Later on I will discuss DNA. As you know that the blood group test is also a scientific evidence by which it can be clearly proved that who is the father of that baby. In this case, word was the blood group test rather than DNA. In the semester exam, always concentrate what words you are going to use. Come to the facts. Now, after discussing the summary, I will start the facts of the case. If you see the facts of the case, here is the appellant. Appellant, who is the appellant in this case? Name of the appellant is Gautam Kundu. Why? What his name is there? I wrote one place Gautam, that was wrong. I used the word JAU. No, here JAU is not. Word is the GAU. No, correct word GOUTAM. So Gautam Kundu, GOUTAM, rather than GAUTAM. So you have got my points. Gautam Kundu, GOUTAM, Gautam Kundu is the husband. It means who went to the appeal, that is the Gautam Kundu, that is the husband. Respondent number one, who is the respondent number one? Respondent number one is that state of West Bengal. State is the party. Respondent number two is the wife. If you see, I have written here, I clarified that name of wife has not been mentioned in this judgment of Supreme Court. Respondent number three, what is the respondent number three? Here there is a baby, that is the daughter is the respondent number three. Now points becomes very clear. What is the name of the case? Name of the case is that Gautam Kundu versus state of West Bengal and another that is the respondent 2 and 3. So that's why always write the correct name in your semester exam. Here the fact is that here I had written the facts, and for your better understanding I had made a table so that you can understand in a better manner. Here again I had written the chronology. What is the chronology? If you see the chronology, you can read here. You have two options. You can read here Gautam Kundu these facts, or with the help of this table you can understand what was the point in this case. Point was that if you see the here point is that in January 1990, that is the January, just before 10 days of the Republic Day, just before 10 days of the Republic Day, that is the 16th January 1990. This was the auspicious day in the life of Gautam and his family. शादी जब नहीं होती है ना, तो बहुत इंतजार के बाद जब दूल्हा आदमी बनता है तो बड़ी खुशी होती है। तो यही इनकी कहानी रही होगी। बाद में ठीक है कि वाइफ को गाली गलौज देने लगा, मारपीट करने लगा, अनचेस्ट करने लगा, अपनी बेबी को ही बेबी नहीं समझ रहा था, तो एवरीथिंग वाज अनदर थिंग। तो बट point is that here, in the life of the Gautam, that day, that is the 16th January 1990, that was the auspicious day in the life of the Gautam and his wife. Both got the marriage on what particular day? On the January 16th, 1990. What happened? Second fact arised here, that second fact point is that wife was a student and she was interested to appear in the 12th exam, that is the second 12th exam, that is the higher secondary examinations, that is the this point. And date of the exam was going to start since 5th April 1990. On what particular date it was going to be start? It was going to be start on the 5th April 1990. Yes, 5th April 1990. She is requested that I am going to house home of my father, and residing at that place I will appear for that exam. But the family of her husband and the other and husband, they were not interested to allow to her to go for the appear in the exam. But anyway, she managed and went to her father, went to house of her father. At that place, she got information that she was pregnant. She informed to her husband and other family members, and instead of becoming happy, they started to say, no, no, no need to, no need to, it is not a matter of happiness, go and make abortion of the child. But as you know that mother is always a mother, and she denied, no, it is my baby, it is my first baby, I love her, I love him, that's why I will not make abortions. Whatever you can do, you can do, I will not make abortion of this baby. So what happened after that? She returned after the examination. She returned to the house of her husband, and when she returned on the October 1990. But once she returned, family members and her husband started to ill treat. That is they started to cause cruelty, including the physical, mental cruelty like that. As you know that what was the unlucky, so she was the very unlucky. Father's family, husband and family members, instead of becoming happy, they started to blame her that no, that was not her baby. And again I wanted to say that if your relationship, if it becomes very clear that it is not possible that today you make the sex and tomorrow you can get the information that whether wife is pregnant or not. As you know that the lady has some special features, and although she got information after 10 days, 20 days that she was the pregnant, at that time there was no scientific development, so that's why she was the innocent. But unfortunately whatever happened, and on the January 3rd January 1991, if you see the 16th January date of the marriage, after this she got the baby after the marriage of the near about after 1 year. After 1 year, it means here the matter was that baby born. When baby born? Baby born during the marriage rather than divorce, rather than after divorce, rather than after dissolution of marriage. So my point is that here this matter comes under the first category. Yesterday I discussed with the help of several examples, and first was that when the baby born during the violent marriage, And second part was that after the dissolution of marriage, but before the 280 days, and the mother is unmarried. Here, this case is related to the first part, baby born during the marriage. As you know that if you see the marriage, exam, cruelty, baby born, what happened? Lastly, finally, mother decided to protect her baby and she claimed maintenance. She filed an application before the judicial magistrate. Judicial magistrate first class, if you read the section 125 of the CRPC, at that place you will find that any persons can claim, some persons, that is the wife, children, except husband, everyone can claim here. The wife claimed maintenance from her husband, and she claimed maintenance not only for herself but also for her lovely and cute baby. In this way, judicial magistrate allowed her for the maintenance. It means here, if you see the point, maintenance application was filed by the wife before whom? Before the judicial magistrate, and she got judgment in her and her daughter's favor. It means uh, she was declared to be entitled for the maintenance. After that, what was the behavior of the husband? Husband, instead of giving maintenance to her baby and instead of giving maintenance to his baby and his wife, she filed an application before the Calcutta High Court. Why this fact was related to the Calcutta decision of the judicial magistrate was challenged, and in the Calcutta High Court he started to claim, "Millards, I am not father of the respondent 3, and behavior and activity of the that is the respondent 2 come under the category of the unchastity. That's why I am not bound to give the maintenance." After that, she filed petitions. Why what was the purpose of filing the petition? His purpose of filing the petition was petition for blood group test. Petition for blood group test. He said that, "My lords, you allowed the blood group test of me and my baby, and everything will be become clear who is the father, what is the character of the father." Here one point is important. Here, what was the purpose? Why he was filing the petition for blood group test? Here, purpose of husband is only one purpose. So the only one purpose, he wanted to prove that he was not the father, and his purpose was to avoid from giving the maintenance. वह इसलिए इस टेस्ट को फाइल करना चाह रहा था, इस टेस्ट को प्रूफ कराना चाहता था कि अगर एक बार अगर ये प्रूफ हो जाए कि मेरा बेबी जो है मेरा बेबी नहीं है, तो इससे अब तुरंत ही वाइफ अनचेस्टिटी डिक्लेयर हो जाएगी। जब वाइफ अनचेस्टिटी डिक्लेयर हो जाएगी या लिविंग इन एडल्ट्री जब डिक्लेयर हो जाएगी, तो आपको वहां पे मेंटेनेंस देने के लिए सीआरपीसी में आप बाध्य नहीं रहेंगे, या मेंटेनेंस दे रहे हैं तो आप मेंटेनेंस देना क्लोज कर देंगे। इस तरह के सेक्शन 127 में डिस्कस भी किया गया है कि अगर लिविंग इन एडल्ट्री में अगर कोई वाइफ पाई जाती है तो उसको वहां मेंटेनेंस नहीं मिलेगा, वहां डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन हो जाएगा। तो ये इसी के माध्यम से प्रूफ करना चाहता था कि अगर एक बार प्रूफ हो जाए कि भाई वाइफ बेबी हमारी नहीं है, नाजायज बेबी है, इलिजिटिमेट चाइल्ड है, तो ऑलरेडी मुझे मेंटेनेंस देना नहीं पड़ेगा। तो जब कलकत्ता हाई कोर्ट के सामने व्हेन द मैटर वाज पुट बिफोर द कलकत्ता हाई कोर्ट, and Calcutta High Court said that no, here matter is very clear, and according to section 112, if the baby has born during the valid marriage and there was opportunity to access, in that case that is the conclusive proof and nothing will be allowed here. Why? Because in this case both the conditions were fulfilled. First was that first condition, she born during the marriage, and second condition was that there was opportunity to access. She was continuously living with her husband except 4 or 5 months when she went to the house of his father for the examination purpose. So that's why it was that there was a opportunity to access. In that case there was a conclusive proof. So Calcutta High Court rejected the petitions for the blood group test. And this decision of the Calcutta High Court came for the 22nd April 1992. After that, appeal was filed by the husband, that is the Gautam, before whom? Before the Supreme Court. And Honorable Supreme Court also decided the case near about after 1 year, that is the 14th May 1993. After that, what was the decision of the Supreme Court? Honorable Supreme Court also rejected these petitions. It means finally, in this case, blood group test was rejected and section 112 was accepted, and it was said that husband cannot file for blood group test as a routine matter, and it was everything clear in the law. She born during the marriage, there was opportunity for access, she was continuously living with you, your family. In that matter, it was clearly rejected. It was the facts and decision of the case, and finally, mother and baby got the remedy. Thanks God, that was the good points. Come to the reason. As you know that the reason are the very important, and the facts is a story. Always, I believe in the story. Nothing is unfair in love and war. Finally, in the war, she won her battle. Reason is that what was the reason? Here, the English law. In this case, there were several arguments was raised, and I will discuss one by one. If you see the English law permitting blood group test for determining the paternity of the legitimate child could not be applied in view of Section 112 of the Evidence Act. It was argued on behalf of the Gautam Kundu case. Honorable Supreme Court in British law always allows the blood group test for prove the paternity, but in this case, Honorable Supreme Court clearly rejected that argument and said that if Section 112 is a very crystal clear, and it is a very crystal clear, and in case of there is no doubt, then here there is no need to apply the English law, and finally that was rejected. It was Supreme Court said that therefore it must be concluded that Section 112 read with Section 4. Section 112 talks about when the conclusive proof, when the paternity becomes the conclusive proof. What is the meaning of conclusive proof? For Section 4, and when it is a, for the example, what sections talks about the conclusive proof? Section 41, Section 112, Section 113 section of the Indian Evidence Act, and Section 82 of the IPC talks about the conclusive proof. So that's why section here also talks about the conclusive proof. And it was said that there was like this. Come to the Supreme Court. What was the decision and ratio of the Supreme Court? In the Supreme Court, first of all, first important point, Honorable Supreme Court expressed its view regarding the English law. If you go to the English law, in the English law, as earlier before this judgment, one clear-cut statute was enacted. Statute was that the Family Law Reforms Act 1969. This is the Family Reforms Act 1969. What is the provisions of this particular law? Family Reforms Act 1969 was enacted by the British Parliament, and in that law it has been clearly allowed for the blood group test in the civil proceeding for prove the paternity. So whether question arises that whether we are bound by the ratio of the Family Reforms Act 1969, up to what extent we should adopt the English law. Here again I wanted to remind that culture of the Britain and our culture's customs totally different things. That's why judgment must be decided in the context of the law which are suitable for our country rather than suitable for another country. Our tradition, custom, everything, relationship, everything is different. So that's why in this case Supreme Court clearly rejected the Family Reforms Act 1969. What was the main reason of rejection of this particular law? Court said that in our sections and provisions are very clear. That's why there is no need to follow the law of other country. That's why Family Reforms Act 1969 was rejected. And Supreme Court said that till now, it means till the decision of the 14th May 1993, till the decision of this case. Court said that till now in our country there is no specific statute which clearly allows the blood group test. So that's why it was Family Reforms Act 1969 was rejected. What was the point regarding the Indian law? Honorable Supreme Court said that regarding the India, there is no special institute. Sorry. There is no special statute governing these points. It was said that in our country, there is no any particular law which clearly talks about the blood group test, whether the blood group test should be allowed in the family matters or not. It was said that neither the criminal law nor neither the CRPC nor the Evidence Act empowers the court to direct such tests to be made. It was said that although in the Britain Family Reforms Act 1969 allows, but in our country neither the CRPC nor the evidence talks about such types matters. But as you know that now at present time after the amendment, now the section 53A and 164A of the CRPC deals about the DNA test. In certain cases, DNA test is allowed. As you know that the DNA test is the part of the scientific evidence, but at that time when the case was decided, there was neither CRPC nor evidence talks about the blood group test or like any other points. So regarding the what is the blood test, under which provisions blood test must come. If you talk relevancy, as you know that if any fact which is not relevant, you cannot prove, because section 5 clearly says that only those facts can be given in evidence which is either relevant facts or facts in issue. The point is that blood test is the circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence, if you see the section 11 clause first part, that is the facts which is inconsistent, or second part that is highly improbabilities, which is establish highly probability or improbability. The first part inconsistency, it means if the facts it clearly denote that there is no matching of the blood group test, it will be the circumstantial evidence to prove that he is not the father and his character was unchaste. In this way, point was that Honorable Supreme Court said that blood grouping test is useful test to determine the question of disputed paternity. It can be relied upon by the court as circumstantial evidence, which ultimately excludes a certain individual as a father of child. In this way, that was the circumstantial evidence. Blood test, under which provisions blood test come? It comes under the category of circumstantial evidence. Honorable Supreme Court said that however it requires to be carefully noted, no person can be compelled to give sample of blood for analysis against her will, and no adverse inference can be drawn against her by the refusal. In this line, a word however contains two parts. First part says that no one can be compelled to give the sample for the blood test, and second part, no adverse inference can be drawn against her for this refusal. Here my favorite judgment, Dipon Vito Roy, what happened in that case? Regarding the second part, in October 20, 2014, Honorable Supreme Court said that here the second part was slightly modified by the Dipon Vito Roy case. Why? Okay, regarding the first part, even the Dipon Vito Roy case, Honorable Supreme Court agree, yes, no one can be compelled for giving the sample of blood for analysis against her will or his will. But on the second part is that, yes, regarding the second part, no adverse inference can be drawn against her for this refusal. On this second part, Honorable Supreme Court in Dipon Vito Roy case is not agree. Supreme Court in that case used that if any person who is not giving blood samples, against him inference can be drawn. against which sections inference can be drawn against section under section 114 illustration H. It means inference will be that if you are not giving the blood samples, in that case inference will be drawn against you. It means since 1993 to till the decision of the 214, there is slight different. Difference is that okay, no one can be compelled, but one side Gautam Kundu case, no inference can be drawn against him, no adverse inference can be drawn against him. But in Dipanvita Roy case, yes, adverse inference can be drawn against him under section 114 illustration H. तुम लोग को समझ में आ रहा है भाई ना? हाँ, तुम लोग को समझ में आ रहा होगा. तुम सभी लाइफ का एंजॉय करते हो, कर लो, जिंदगी मिलेगी ना दोबारा. तो यही मैं कहना चाहता हूँ, किसी पॉइंट पर बस इतना ध्यान में रखना कि दीपान्विता राय के केस में यहाँ पे अंतर किया गया है. ठीक ना? दीपान्विता के केस में ला करके यहीं पे 114 इलस्ट्रेशन यश के थ्रू कहा जाएगा कि नहीं, एडवर्स इन्फ्रेंस ड्रॉ किया जा सकता है, क्योंकि वहां सुप्रीम कोर्ट दीपान्विता राय में दो ऑप्शन दिया. पहला ऑप्शन दिया कि आप ब्लड टेस्ट करा लीजिए, दूसरा ऑप्शन है कि अगर ब्लड टेस्ट आप नहीं करा रहे हैं तो आपके खिलाफ एडवर्स इन्फ्रेंस ड्रॉ होगा, और इसमें कह रहा है कि नो, एडवर्स इन्फ्रेंस ड्रॉ नहीं होगा. कम टू द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट ही दैट purpose of the petition. Purpose of the petition, what was the purpose? As you know that cases are decided according to the facts and circumstances of the case. If party is not innocent, court will not help him. If party is innocent, law is interpreted in such a manner so that it can be supported. Here the party Gautam Kundu was not innocent. His purpose of the petition was only and only to avoid पेमेंट ऑफ द मेंटेनेंस. वो चाह रहा था किसी भी तरफ कुछ भी हो जाए, बस हमें मेंटेनेंस न देना पड़े, चाहे बेबी भले ही इलिजिटिमेट डिक्लेयर हो जाए, एनी एक्सटेंट तक ही वाज गोइंग टू गो. दैट्स व्हाई ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेड दैट हियर पर्पस ऑफ पिटिशन वाज ओनली एंड ओनली टू अवॉइड द पेमेंट ऑफ द मेंटेनेंस without making any grounds whatever to have recourse to the test. On what maxim this is the best? Here the maxim is based on the pater est quam notio demonstrant. What is the meaning of this word, this maxim? Meaning of this study I also discussed. It says that it means he is the father whom the marriage indicates. He is the father whom the marriage indicates. As you know that study I took the example of the Shivam. If the marriage indicates, that is the sufficient. Even though baby has born after 2 days 1 hour, it is immaterial things. Here point is that what is the meaning of the this maxim? Maxim is the he is the father whom the marriage indicates, that is the sufficient. This is the mainly regarding the first part. Burden of proof. On whom burden of proof shall be lie? It shall be lie on the person who is claiming that he is not the father. It means a person who is claiming, he will be bound to prove that matter. Here the presumption is in favor of the legitimacy. Here the presumption is not only for the legitimacy, but here presumption is in favor of the valid marriage also. The presumption of legitimacy is that the child born of a married woman is deemed to be legitimate. It throws on the person whom interested in making out the illegitimacy the whole burden proving on it. It means on this, in this particular case, on whom burden of proof lies that baby is illegitimate child or he is not the father? On the Gautam Kundu. In this case, Gautam Kundu is bound to prove that he was not the father. And this presumption is on 2 points. These presumptions regarding the marriage ceremony is valid, and as well as every person is legitimate. So this presumption is on 2 points. Regarding in this case, Honorable Supreme Court said that the section 112 talks about the rebuttable presumption of law. On these points, I don't know whether I am wrong or right, I don't know. But unfortunately, on these points, I am unable to understand. Why I am unable to understand this point of the Supreme Court? Because whenever we discuss the presumption, we divide the presumption into 2 parts. presumption of facts and presumption of law. And presumption of law again divided into two parts: rebuttable presumption of law, shall what denotes the rebuttable presumption of law, and the other is the irrebuttable presumption of law, conclusive proof, called under the category of irrebuttable presumption of law. But why Supreme Court has used and said that section 112 is rebuttable presumption of law, I don't know, I am unable to understand. But in this case, Honorable Supreme Court said that section 112 is a rebuttable presumption of law. Why I am unable to get this point? Because in this case section 4 was not discussed. Once section 4 has been discussed in the light of section 112, it becomes very clear whether that is the rebuttable presumption of law or irrebuttable presumption of law. Unfortunately, in this case, Supreme Court said that section 112 talks about the irrebuttable presumption of law. It is said that wording, what is the wording of this? If you see the wording, it says that it is a rebuttable presumption of law that a child born during the lawful wedlock is legitimate and the excess occurred between the parents. In this way, it says that that is rebuttable presumption of law. This presumption can be displaced by strong preponderance of evidence and not by mere balance of the probabilities. Here word is that this presumption can be displaced by strong preponderance of evidence and not by a mere balance of probabilities. Here what is going on by the Supreme Court? See, Supreme Court, why they using the word? If you interpret in the mindset of the Supreme Court, then what will be answer of that? Supreme Court here had made this statement in the context of the excess and non-excess. If you and Supreme Court had not taken the excess as a part of as a condition of the presumptions, in that case, Honorable Supreme Court has taken the excess as a different parts. In this way, as you know that if any person is able to prove excess, able to prove non-excess, then that presumption can be rebut. देखिए मैं अपना पॉइंट बता देता हूं. मेरा मानना यह है कि जो प्रिजम्पशन है सेक्शन 114 के अंतर्गत वो कंक्लूसिव प्रूफ होगा. कंक्लूसिव प्रूफ होने के लिए फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगिनिंग उसको दो पार्ट में डिवाइड कर लीजिए. पहले पार्ट में आप उसको डिसाइड कर लीजिए कि बेबी का बॉर्न कब हुआ. एक कंडीशन इसको मान लीजिए और एक कंडीशन एक्सेस नॉन एक्सेस को मान लीजिए. अगर दोनों कंडीशन एक साथ प्रूफ हो जाते हैं तो वहां पे वो कंक्लूसिव प्रूफ में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा. लेकिन सुप्रीम कोर्ट क्या कर रहा है इस केस में? सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ये मानना है कि पहले पार्ट को हम यूज करेंगे, जैसे कि बेबी का बॉर्न कब हुआ. तो पहले पार्ट पर जब बेबी का बॉर्न कब हुआ तो उसको हम रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन मान लेंगे. क्यों रिबटेबल मान लेंगे? क्योंकि नॉन एक्सेस के थ्रू उस प्रिजम्पशन को रिबट किया जा सकता है. और सुप्रीम कोर्ट का कहना है कि अगर नॉन एक्सेस प्रूफ अगर एक्सेस प्रूफ हो जाता है तो वहां पे रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ को इररिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ में कन्वर्ट करेंगे. तो ये लॉजिक जो है सुप्रीम कोर्ट की मुझे सूट नहीं कर रही है. आपका जो भी पॉइंट हो आप समझ लीजिएगा. हम फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगिनिंग 112 को दो पार्ट में रख रहे हैं, दो कंडीशन मान के चल रहे हैं. शुरू में ही मान के चल रहे हैं कि बेबी का बॉर्न प्रूफ होना चाहिए और साथ ही साथ ये प्रूफ हो जाना चाहिए कि देयर वाज एक्सेस. जब दोनों कंडीशन फुलफिल होकर के निकलेंगे तब वहां पे वो कंक्लूसिव प्रूफ निकलेगा. तो इस तरह से, लेकिन सुप्रीम कोर्ट का इंटरप्रिटेशन ये बता रहा है कि शुरू में आप रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन मानेंगे क्योंकि नॉन एक्सेस के थ्रू उसको रिबट किया जा सकता है. लेकिन नॉन एक्सेस भी नहीं प्रूफ हो जाता है तब वह रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन कंक्लूसिव प्रूफ में कन्वर्ट होगा. ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ओपिनियन है. क्योंकि ये ऐसा नहीं है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने गलती से इसकी टाइप कर दिया. मुझे लगा कि ऐसा हो सकता है कि गलती से लिखा गया हो, क्योंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैड आल्सो टेकन द रेशियो ऑफ द भारती राज वर्सेस सुमेश सचदेव एंड अदर केस. Even in this case, Honorable Allahabad High Court used that Section 112 talks about the rebuttable presumption of law. Section 112 talks about the rebuttable presumption of law. That's why what is the point of the Supreme Court in this context? Supreme Court said that earlier first stage, that is a rebuttable presumption of law. That presumptions can be rebut by using the non-excess. But party unable to prove non-excess, then that rebuttable presumption of law will convert into the irrebuttable presumption of law, that is the conclusive proof. So this is the opinion of the Supreme Court. Come to the meaning of the excess and non-excess. What is the meaning of excess, non-excess in these points? Yesterday I discussed that if the Shivam had got the opportunity in the hostel, what he did, it is immaterial. That will come under the category of excess. Here point is that section 112 talks about the section 112 requires party disputing the paternity to prove non-excess in order to dispel the presumptions. In order to dispel the presumption. Here excess and non-excess means existence or non-existence of opportunities for sexual intercourse. See, the point is that it does not mean actual cohabitation. In the actual what happened, it is immaterial. If you have got opportunity, you did nothing, even though it will be treated that there was the excess. The point is that next point, conclusive proof under section 4. I had clearly mentioned that regarding the conclusive proof. Section conclusive proof means as laid down under section 4 of the Evidence Act. If you see, unfortunately, conclusive proof under section 4 was not discussed. What were the conclusions regarding the blood test? Regarding the blood test is that court said that the following 5 important points court put in this case. Court said that blood test should not be in routine manner. It means blood test, okay, should be allowed, but in only exceptional circumstances. It should not be allowed in routine manner. It means, what is the point? Okay, blood test shall be allowed, may be allowed, but in only in exceptional circumstances rather than in routine manner. If the purpose is the roving inquiry, what is the meaning of roving inquiry? Roving inquiry is a phrase. It means any persons wanted to make inquiry which is not related to the subject matter of the case. Not related to the subject matter of the case. Here what happened? Here the wife claimed maintenance. Proceeding starts regarding the maintenance. But he started to claim the paternity. In that case, he was not claiming that I am not entitled for paying the maintenance like this. He started to say regarding the relationship between the baby and himself. In this case, court said that if the purpose, if the application is made for roving inquiry, in that cases blood test cannot be entertained. Roving inquiry, I had written here, roving inquiry is a phrase. It means inquiry not related to subject matter. It means in the case of roving inquiry, Supreme Court should not allow blood test. The 2 points clear. Blood test should not be in routine manner. It must not be in those cases which are related to the roving inquiry. Prima facie case. Here there must be strong prima facie case in that husband must establish non-excess in order to dispel presumption arising 112 of the Act. It means, as you know, that there are 2 types of the evidence. There are 2 types of burden of proof, whether to prove beyond reasonable doubt or preponderance of probabilities. Here, Honorable Supreme Court said that there must be a prima facie strong case rather than in normal cases. It means when the blood test should be allowed, it should be allowed not in a routine manner, not in the roving inquiry, and case must be prima facie case. And consequences, Honorable Supreme Court said that at the same time you have also keep in your mind what would be consequences if the blood test would be allowed. It means court said that the court must carefully examine as to what would be consequences of ordering blood test, whether it will have the effect of branding a child, एज ए बास्टर्ड एंड मदर एज अनचेस्ट वुमेन। हम देखते हैं कि इन केस ऑफ कर्ण व्हाट हैपेंड, ही डिक्लेयर्ड एज ए बास्टर्ड चाइल्ड, his mother father was unknown. What happened in that case? He have to face whole life. In case it was said that you have to think about the consequences, what is the point regarding that, and no one can be compelled. It was said that no one can be compelled for the blood test. It means 5 points were laid down, 5 guidelines were laid down in this case. The first point was that blood test should not be in routine manner. Second, there must be roving inquiry. Roving inquiry cases, it should not be allowed. There must be prima facie cases, and you at the time of ordering the blood test, consequences must also be considered, and no one can be compelled to give the sample for blood analysis. Conclusion is that Supreme Court said that after examining all in the light of the above, we find no difficulty in upholding the impugned order of the High Court, confirming the order of Additional Chief Judicial Magistrate Alipur in rejecting the application for blood test. She was entitled to withdraw the money of maintenance. Now in this way it becomes very clear, and again I wanted to take some points regarding the रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ। देखो रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ का मतलब यहाँ पर ये है, रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ रहेगा तो उस प्रिजम्पशन को अदर पार्टी रिबट कर सकता है। तो रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन का मतलब ये है कि कोर्ट सेल प्रिज्यूम, कोर्ट के लिए मैंडेटरी है कि आप प्रिज्यूम करोगे कि हाँ एक चीज ट्रूथ है। जब मे प्रिज्यूम होता है तो कोर्ट के पास भी ऑप्शन होता है एक्सेप्ट करे या रिजेक्ट करे, और पार्टी के पास भी ऑप्शन होता है, दोनों के पास ऑप्शन होता है। लेकिन रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन में कोर्ट के पास ऑप्शन नहीं होता है लेकिन पार्टी के पास ऑप्शन होता है, और इररिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ में न ही कोर्ट के पास ऑप्शन होता है और न ही पार्टी के पास ऑप्शन होता है। अब बात रही कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट जो 112 है रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन है कि इररिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन है, इसका आंसर तो देना ही पड़ेगा। कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम में जब आता है तो इसका आंसर इररिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ माना जाएगा। इररिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ क्यों माना जाता है? क्योंकि वहां पर वो सीधा सीधा वर्ड यूज कर देता है कि कंक्लूसिव प्रूफ। सेक्शन 112 क्या यूज कर रहा है? कंक्लूसिव प्रूफ वर्ड ही यूज कर दे रहा है। तो यहाँ पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट क्यों रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ कह रहा है? सुप्रीम कोर्ट तो गलत हो नहीं सकता है, वही अथॉरिटी है। तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट यहाँ पे जब रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ वर्ड यूज कर रहा है तो सिर्फ पहले पार्ट को देख रहा है और साथ साथ में एक्सेस को सेपरेट कर दे रहा है। क्योंकि रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ के थ्रू अगर हम मान लिए कि बेबी अगर ड्यूरिंग मैरिज है तो लेजिटिमेट हो गई, लेकिन एक्सेस नहीं था, इसको प्रूफ करके इस प्रिजम्पशन को रिबट किया जा सकता है। तो इसलिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक्सेस को अलग माना है और प्रिजम्पशन रिगार्डिंग बेबी को अलग माना है। तो यहां पे अगर अलग अलग मानेंगे तो इनिशियल स्टेज पे 112 रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ होगा, और अगर एक्सेस प्रूफ नहीं हो पाता, एक्सेस प्रूफ हो जाता है तो यह रिबटेबल इररिबटेबल में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा। और अगर दोनों के एक साथ एक ही कंडीशन मान लोगे कि पहला कंडीशन यह है कि मैरिज ड्यूरिंग बर्थ होना चाहिए, ड्यूरिंग मैरिज होना चाहिए जैसे मैं मान रहा था, और सेकेंड कंडीशन ये मान लो कि देयर मस्ट बी एक्सेस, दोनों को अगर एक साथ कंबाइंड करके पढ़ लोगे तो वहां पे फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगिनिंग इररिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ ही आएगा। तो अगर कोई इंटरव्यू में पूछता है तो क्या है सेक्शन 112, तो बताना उसको कि सेक्शन 112 इररिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ है। वहां पूछता है क्यों, तो सीधा सीधा कहना कि इसके दो कंडीशन है, पहला है कि ड्यूरिंग मैरिज बर्थ होना चाहिए और दूसरा कंडीशन है कि देयर मस्ट बी एक्सेस होना चाहिए। अगर दोनों कंडीशन फुलफिल हो गया तब वहां पे इररिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ होगा। अगर वो कहता है कि गौतम कुंडू के केस में और भर्तृहरि राज के केस में तो कहा गया था कि 112 रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ लॉ है, इसमें क्या तुम्हारा ओपिनियन है? तुम्हें ये कहना होगा कि वहां पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक्सेस को सेपरेट करके देखा। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने दो पार्ट मान लिया। पहला पार्ट मान लिया कि प्रिजम्पशन रिगार्डिंग द बर्थ ऑफ द बेबी, वहां पे रिबटेबल प्रिजम्पशन आप मान लिया। क्यों? क्योंकि इस प्रिजम्पशन को रिबट किया जा सकता है। किसके थ्रू रिबट किया जा सकता है? नन एक्सेस प्रूफ करके इस प्रिजम्पशन को रिबट किया जा सकता है। तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो वर्ड यूज किया है वो नन एक्सेस के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, सेपरेट करके कॉन्टेक्स्ट में यूज किया है। तो यहाँ पे इस तरह से इसका वर्ड है। तो थैंक्स फॉर लिसनिंग ऑल ऑफ यू, एंजॉय योर सेल्फ। बाय नानी, राजा, डैनियल, एवरीवन, बाय बाय।